Yo, it was good, everybody. It's your boy B, the CEO. Welcome back to Menbuse, where I cover everything that is fatherhood related, manhood, and also adulthood related. Today, we're gonna cover this video, this court battle for custody. It's about this mom, of course, that is making up outrageous excuses on why she is denying the father visitation. So let's get straight to it.
Able at this point to resolve this matter. All right, then we'll conduct a hearing, but I'm going to limit this hearing only on the Christmas visitation that is being requested. So what are you specifically asking for? You'll turn that microphone, well, just come up here.
December the 24th, beginning at 8 a.m. to December the 25th at 12 p.m. So mother can have that second half.
So he wants the Christmas Eve and Christmas morning.
Yes, Judge. He didn't have the Thanksgiving because he was not able to do the visitation. So we're hoping we can get the Christmas Eve to Christmas morning.
Prior to this, this child is 2 years old, I think, 3 years old.
I'm sorry, let's pause. I just want to read this right quick to y'all. So, father seeks unsupervised Christmas visitation from 12 p.m. on December 24th to 12 p.m. on December 25th, allowing him to celebrate Christmas Eve and Christmas morning with his son. Okay.
Child is
3 years old, Judge. And then beginning December, it was supposed to be from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. unsupervised, still during the weekends.
all right. Then you may put on your proof, call your first witness.
Judge, I call my client. Okay. If we calculate from August the 31st, when you had your first visitation, all the way to 90 days, actually to today, you would have had 16 days of visitation. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And out of those 16 days, how many were you able to actually spend time with your son, Ashton?
She only allowed me 8 visits.
8 visits. During those 8 visits, how was Ashton responding to you whenever you show up at Miss Hewitt's home?
Oh, he's really excited, just jumping up and down every time I get to the door, trying
Okay,
to put his shoes on so he can go to the park.
okay. During those 8 days that you had visitation, did Miss Hewitt allow you to take Ashton outside of her home without her presence, and you were able to visit with him?
Yes, ma'am. Me and her daughter, and then my fiance, we would go to the park, which is just a few hundred feet down the road from her house.
Okay.
And then on one occasion, I had to go get Miss Hewitt some car parts. Her car had messed up, and me, Asia, and Ashton all went together to get those without her.
Okay. And what are your plans for Christmas? Do you have any relatives?
Yeah, my mom, my sister, and my nieces are all planning to come to the house for Christmas.
Okay. And you got gifts prepared for Ashton?
Oh, yeah, we got this whole room set up. We had 13 family members come over for Thanksgiving, but I wasn't allowed to get him. She would not even answer the door.
Right. And then my last question to you is just describe to the judge, how many bedrooms do you have in your home?
3.
Okay. And you would have a separate bedroom for Ashton to sleep over if you're allowed to take him there from the 24th to the 25th?
Yes, ma'am. It's all set up. His toddler bed, everything he needs. It's a brand new room. I built the house, and it's never been stayed in.
And do you feel that your home is safe for him
Most definitely.
and suitable?
Most definitely.
And who lives there?
Me, my fiance, and my stepdaughter.
Okay. And how long have you been living with your fiance and
Just a little bit over 3 years.
okay. So you've been in
October was 3 years.
and then I will show you another set of pictures. Pictures, Mr. Fenton.
My fiance.
Okay. And what do those pictures depict?
Us at the park. Well, I guess on one occasion at the park, we went multiple times, And then this one depicts, he really likes to get in my truck and push the horn and play with all the buttons. And he thinks it's funny because I won't let him push the horn. He tries to get around me to do it. And then, no,
Those-
actually,
those photos
it's
were
2
taken-
times at the park. This
Okay.
is, I just, because the shirt's different there, so it
Okay.
does show 2.
Okay, so those were taken during your,
I'm sorry, quick thing. You know what's so stupid and annoying? For the life of me, I don't know why we even have a family court with stuff like this. It's like, why is a dad have to waste money and waste time to say that, hey, I think I should be a father. I should be part of the child's life. I mean, I co-created the child. Why does he have to like showcase himself in photos and all that the child needs to have him as a father in that little kid's life? It's so annoying to me. The fact that this is like normal in society. You would think it's common sense that if we both make the child together, we both have to raise the child together. Just because you're a mom and came out, the child came out of your vagina doesn't mean it's your child only. You know what I'm saying? It's just annoying, but my bad. I ain't want to interrupt you. I just had to, put it out there.
visitation after you were in front of Judge Wolf. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
then the very last one, that was from April.
Okay,
Right,
so that one, okay.
I found out on March 25th that he was my biological son, and I was able to go down and have a visit at Miss Hewitt's home. And
And so Miss Hewitt allowed you to take Ashton outside of her home?
yes, ma'am.
Outside of her presence, okay. Would like to enter that as an exhibit. And so you're asking Judge Wolf to grant you December the 24th from 12 p.m., is that right?
Please.
To December 25 at noontime.
That's
So that
correct.
mom can have the second half of Christmas vacation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then, Judge, I also have in the motion the supervised visitation, so will that be continued, or am I allowed to go ahead and request for that
Well,
here?
The previous order was to be unsupervised beginning November 30th, according to that original order, at least the way it was drawn, correct?
Yes, Judge.
So I'm not going to address anything except Christmas visitation at this point, since she has no attorney.
And that's all my questions, Judge.
But you have the right, acting as your own attorney, to ask questions of him regarding his request for Christmas visitation or anything he's testified to. It is not your time to testify. I'm going to give you a chance to testify, but do you have questions you want to ask?
All right, before they ask any questions, so here's my thing with what the judge has said. He's talking about, okay, he won't cover anything else because she doesn't have an attorney. This is her fault. She didn't spend money on an attorney. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get this thing out the way right now. Like why be easy on her? You know what I'm saying? Like, that happens a lot in the courtroom, and I get it, you feel me? But I've seen fathers that can't afford an attorney come to the courtroom without an attorney, and the judge go wham and ham on that father. He doesn't care, or she doesn't care if he had an attorney or not. But in her case, of course, taking it easy on her.
If you do, you need to go to the podium. You're not required to ask any questions, but it is your chance to ask them if you have any.
So did you have open CPS investigations in Scottsville regarding molesting your stepdaughter, your
No.
ex-wife? So there's not court documents in Scottsville, Kentucky, where you and Buffy went to court with you molesting their stepdaughter, your stepdaughter?
I never,
You don't remember going to court
I
with your
never-
ex-wife?
no.
So if we pull the files, the court records,
You can pull, there is no, I
Yes.
have zero criminal record whatsoever.
you changed your last name.
I
That's
changed my
why you
last
changed your
name at
last name.
32. I have my,
I'm sorry. You're going to ask in the form of a question. You can ask him whether or not he did or did not change his last name.
Did you change your last name after you and your wife went to court for the molestation of your stepdaughter, buying her a dildo to, I quote, practice for her?
I changed my last name at 32 years old after I went through my first divorce and had my lawyer retained when my grandmother was on her deathbed because she asked me to change my last name because I'd never carried my father's last name. With my DNA records, I changed my last name.
Had nothing to do with trying to evade what had
No.
transpired
it
in
had to
court
do
with your
me having
ex-wife.
the wrong last name.
Okay.
Quick thing, fun fact, fellas, if you're watching this, one thing the BM will always bring to the courtroom is two false things: domestic violence and some sort of child abuse. It could either be child abuse physically or child molestation. That's the number two things they will always, the number two lies they will always bring against the father with no proof, with no truth, with nothing at all. Just to make the man, the father, look bad. Keep that in mind.
Your whole life.
Men are supposed to carry their father's last name, so you can pass
mean-
it on.
Just kind of weird it happened after.
You can't make a statement.
Sorry.
You need to ask a question.
Okay. I don't feel safe.
Thank you. Just have a seat. Hold up, Mr. Benton, where do you live?
Scottsville, Kentucky. It's east of Bowling Green, about 10 miles across the.
So how long does it take you to drive between there and where the child is living?
It's 2 hours without traffic, 2.5 with traffic. It varies. I always allow 2.5 hours.
How long did you, how long, I'm sorry. How long have you had this lady in your life?
Over 3 years, 3 years.
And
in
is she
October.
living with you at that address?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that, the pictures that we show is your residence with this lady that your girlfriend or paramour or
Fiancé.
whatever live in together. Okay. Now, and does she have children?
Yes, a 16-year-old. She turned 16 December the 9th, Elena, which
Right.
is in the courtroom today.
Allegations get made in divorces sometimes to gain an advantage over a custody situation. And I'm just going to ask you that you're under oath and you understand that lying under oath is aggravated perjury, a felony.
Yes, sir.
So she's asked you a question about this issue, about whether or not there was ever an accusation made against you that you had sexually molested a child in a prior situation. Was there such an allegation? Yes or no?
There was a CPS investigation, but it wasn't to do with anything to do with me molesting a child. It had to do with her finding a sex toy that was brand new in the laundry room late at night and carried it to her bedroom across the house, took a picture of it, sent it to her friends by her grandma's.
And it was a what now?
It was a sex toy, like a little, but it
A
was
sex toy.
It was brand new, and it was wrapped up in a package in the laundry room, hidden.
And who did this? The child took a picture of it?
She took it from the laundry room while everybody else was in bed, took it to her bedroom, unwrapped it, snapped a picture of it, and sent it to her friend that lived beside her grandma in Westmoreland, Tennessee. Well, the friend shows her mom, mom calls grandma, grandma calls CPS.
All right. So there was an investigation. What was the result of that investigation?
Her brother stayed there and she went and lived with her dad and then ultimately went to live at her grandma's.
All right.
Her brother graduated.
But there was
from
never,
home.
according to you, there was never any investigation of you for you allegedly having committed some act against this child.
No, and I no criminal anything. I mean, no.
Now, your son, and this is a little boy, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he is 3 years old, and you have had contact with him since you learned, as you said, in March, that he was your March of this year, that he was your biological child.
March the 25th, yes, sir.
And you understand that's not a very long period of time to have a relationship with a child that's 3 years old. You're just beginning to learn him and him learn you. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And we are not going to deal with what's going to happen visitation-wise with, the future, except I'm trying to deal with this Christmas visitation. Who is you're saying is coming to your house for Christmas?
My mother, which is 82 years old, and my sister, Jaren, which Miss Hewitt was best friends with when we were kids. And she is 2 years older than me, so she would be 43. And then I have two nieces that are 12 and 10. And then I have two grown nieces that are 24 and 26 who are registered nurses. And then a nephew, and he's 20, and he's in the medical field as well.
All right. Okay.
Anton, I just want to clarify the change of name, and I'm going to pass some documents to you. Tell me what those documents are.
My original birth certificate from when I was born, and then my original Social Security card with my last name reading Englehart, as well as a birth certificate. When I was born, from 0 to 1, my name was changed 3 times by my mom, or twice. I know I carried my sister. We have different dads' last name originally, which was Reisinger, and then my mother changed it to Englehart when I was 0 to 1. And when my grandma was on her deathbed, she asked me to change my last name. She said, "You're going to have a son one day, and I want him to have the right last name." She said, "So you have your DNA records. Please go change your last name." I did this at 32 years old, so many, many years ago. It's been 9 years since I did this.
So you didn't change your name to evade some criminal prosecution whatsoever?
No, not at all.
And tell me about the clearances that you have gotten from the government, from NASA and things like that, just very briefly.
I did a project year before last in Mississippi at the NASA facility, which is a government facility. And I mean, you have to do extensive background checks, and I have a U.S. government badge on the table.
Okay, so they had run your criminal background and things like that. Is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am. I've worked federal projects, so anytime I work on my airport, like B&A Airport, or any high-profile job, that's part of it, you have
Okay.
to-
And that's an ongoing situation with your current job, is that right?
Yes, for the last 23 years. That's correct.
And the reason why you were not able to visit with your child from the time that he was born was because Ms. Hewitt concealed the real paternity of Ashton to you. Is that correct?
Yes, and I have that in a message where she told me I came in from Virginia when he was expected, and she would not let me come to the hospital, told me it had nothing to do with me, that she had already DNA'd the father, and I just assumed he was already there. And the other father is actually, she goes up, I don't know, she had a DUI, and the bondsman that bonded her out of jail was the other potential father, and he was exonerated, or when Ashton was 1 year old. I received notice from the Tennessee Child Support Office in February of this year, asking me to do a DNA test.
Okay.
And that was how I found out.
And then from then on, you tried to foster the relationship, is that right?
Yes.
And is that your purpose here, is to continue to have that relationship with your son?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all, Judge. And I'm not entering those documents into the exhibit, so you can take it with you.
Okay.
So you and Miss Hewitt had a relationship at some point. How long was that relationship?
We never had a relationship, and we knew each other from the time we were children. From about 5 to 16, my mom's farm, which she still owns in Rockbridge, Bethpage, Tennessee.
Well, obviously she became pregnant, so you had some sort of a relationship.
Well, I was married for years, and I didn't really see Miss Hewitt until, I guess, it would have been the beginning of 2020, and Facebook. she ended up reaching out to me on Facebook, and I went down, and it was kind of just went down for the weekend and met with Miss Hewitt, and then it wasn't long afterwards she stated that she was pregnant, and I'd went back down, only on a couple weekends, but I knew that the other potential father was, that they were having a relationship as well, based off of their phone conversations, and I worked on the road at the time. I worked on the gas pipeline, so I did a lot of travel. And
Okay, so when did you find out she was pregnant?
probably about a week after or 2. Well, really, I didn't know for sure until 4.5 months when I took her to the doctor.
All
For
right,
the
and
first
who
time.
did she tell you was the father of this child?
She told me it was the other guy. I'm not sure his name.
So you at no time knew that you were the father until you got this petition from the Department of Child Support Office, rather.
No, I mean, she told me when she first got pregnant that it was mine, but then it changed very quickly that it was the other guy's. And so I didn't really, I'm 40, fixing to be 41, and I've never had a biological child. So I believed her. I really believed that, it was the other man's child, but.
All right. Ms. Hewitt, you have the right, if you have any other questions, I'll allow you to ask those questions. Do you have anything else you want to ask him?
Quick little comment here. So, in other words, he's just saying she's a whore, right? She was messing around with 2 dudes at the same time. Fellas, quick thing of what not to do when you inside the courtroom being asked a question by the judge. Keep it very brief. Buddy, he was going too much. When the judge asked him, okay, at some point you had a relationship with the mother of your child. I'm trying to say, what type was it? He could just said, look, I know for a long time, we wasn't dating, nothing like that. We just slept together one time, and then boom, she got pregnant. All the extra stuff he was saying and doing, it was unnecessary. And judge, they get annoyed when you running around and making the question longer than it should be. Keep it brief.
All right. Thank you. Step down. All right. Mr. Fenton has rested his proof. So, Ms. Hewitt, if you want to be heard on this issue, I'll be glad to let you testify. But we're also just dealing with his request for Christmas visitation, in which he is requesting Christmas Eve until Christmas Day at noon. So, come to the podium. If you're going to testify, are you going to testify? Then come around here and raise your right hand and be placed under oath. All right. Let me correct one thing. I know you referred to this as my child. My child is nonverbal autistic. Number one, it's not just your child. He is the father of that child, and the legal rights that he has are such that you cannot simply say, this is my child, I'm going to do it my way. So you have to understand that he has a legal right that has to be balanced with your legal right, and first and foremost is the best interest of the child. So why don't you tell me what it is that you object to him having visitation over Christmas?
I don't object to supervised visitation at all, but he doesn't know Ashton well enough or anything about, I've raised a 22-year-old special, autistic, and he's in college now for cybersecurity. He works at Walgreens, licensed pharmacy tech. I've been doing this a long time. I've got a 12-year-old daughter and now Ashton, but he's more special needs than any of them. He's got a rare heart condition also. He gets therapies all through the week. He was previously with TEIS from birth, and then we switched over to the Board of Education, where he gets ABA, OT, PT, speech, and it's just, he doesn't know when he's overstimulated, and even when he's had this visitation, the only thing that he does is pick him up. He doesn't try to talk to him or anything. And he's worried about taking him out to his truck where his girlfriend sits the whole time outside the house in the truck, That's what he goes out there, and he's more worried about her sitting in the truck than my child. And we got in an argument because he was teaching him to go up.
Notice once again she said, my child, my child. The judge just said, stop saying your child. It's not only your child. A lot of these BMs in the courtroom, that's all they think about. That's all they be saying. My child this, my son this, my daughter that, my kids this, my children that, my this, my this. It ain't your goddamn kid, lady. Damn. I'm sorry. My bad. It's just annoying, dog. Like, it's not only your kid, bruh. Dang. And let the man be a father. What's the big deal? See what I'm talking about, man? It's like y'all be... These type of BMs be out there yelling out, you know, single mom and men are deadbeats, fathers are deadbeat. But meanwhile, look what they're doing. Look what's going on.
To the road, you know, and he kept trying to go up there, and he let him lay on the horn, you know, and I have neighbors and things too. But I mean, I don't feel comfortable. And as far as, I mean, I can prove from his own messages I've got printed out, he's known since day one this is his child. The only reason any of this started because I had to work with DHS child support finally, like, and I, to be honest, I wish I just never did. I wouldn't have to deal with this because...
I'm sorry. I need to come in and interrupt y'all right quick. You don't want the man to be a father and be involved in y'all sons' lives, but yet you went out your way and put that man on child support. You don't want him to be involved physically as a father. You don't want the kid to have a father. You don't want the man to have the son with him on Christmas for the first half. But yet you went out your way to try and put that man on child support, but you don't want him to be a father. Delusional, crazy, insanity. It's mind-boggling to me how folks like that be thinking. Crazy, bro.
He's dangerous, he's erratic, and as far as his sister, I've got messages from his sister too. His sister and his nieces and nephew, they don't want anything to do with him. His mom's even scared of him and doesn't like to deal with him. Yes, she's rode down there to see Ashton, but at the same time, she knows and how he is. He's just erratic. You never know what it's going to be. And he always takes it out on women and children.
Right.
Then I call it, it's always two things these BMs, I'm going to call them BBMs, these BBMs, bitter baby mamas using in the courtroom. Domestic violence and child abuse. Women and children. Like she just said, he takes it out on women and children. That's their main number two. Lying, excuses, and defamation of character. Jesus.
So when you say you would be in favor of supervised visitation, what exactly are you proposing?
Continue like at my house supervised, where I can see.
Has he been allowed to take the child away from your house?
Like to the playground.
So he's been away from you while he's had this child?
I mean, I drove down there, and then the other time the neighbor that I'm friends with watched.
All right.
But it's right next to my house.
Ms. Hendrickson, do you have any questions?
Who is your son's pediatrician?
What does that have to do with anything?
What was your question?
Who is the child's pediatrician? She's saying that the child is going through therapy and things, which we don't think it's correct.
Number one, you don't get to, you can object to a question, but that here, you need to understand one thing. And this is, you referred to the child as my child more than once. And I thought maybe I'd emphasize it enough, but I want to make sure you understand. This is the father of this child. You and he had a sexual relationship, and he is the biological father of this child. Therefore, he is vested with certain rights that the law in the state of Tennessee give him. Those rights include, as a non-custodial parent, the right to know who the child's doctors are, the right to be advised of certain things about this child. And when this is all said and done, there's going to be a parenting plan that's going to be entered that's going to set forth all of that information. But you cannot simply say that you're not going to let him know who the pediatrician is. So you're going to have to answer that question for Ms. Hendrickson. Answer the question.
Okay, so if I check the records, they will have file there, medical records there?
Yes.
Mr. Fenton has brought his mother with him on some occasions. You remember that?
Yeah, I love his mom.
Right.
I love her.
So it's not true that he does not have a good relationship with his mother,
No,
because in fact, he has taken him to your house so that he can see his grandson. Is that right?
That doesn't mean he has a good relationship with his mom.
But he has taken the grandma with him
Yeah.
on
and
some
then
of the
she comes
visitation. Okay.
And, yeah,
So Ashton has met his grandma, correct?
yes.
Okay. And then, and you're saying that Mr. Fenton knew about the paternity, but in fact, you texted him confirming that you told him he was not the father. Do you remember that text message?
Oh, yes, I've got text messages too, but after many drunk, late night, crazy messages, and I mean, him calling me a drunk gutter slut and all this stuff, so, and I've got the message from my sister too, telling me just say it's not his.
Okay, so but you never corrected it. Let's say you were drunk when
But
you
he
told
knew.
him you're not the.
I don't
Let
drink.
me finish the question, ma'am.
I don't drink.
Well, you just said you were drunk.
I said he was drunk.
Oh, he was drunk. Okay, so but you are confirming that you told him he was not the father. Is that correct?
Yes, but he knew.
Okay.
He had a
So
period
it was
tracker
a
on his phone.
misstatement, ma'am.
One of you
I'm
talk
sorry.
at a time, please.
So it was a misstatement when you claimed there on that stand that he knew all along, because you told him he was not the father.
He knew all along. He had a period tracker on my phone. We were never apart in the beginning when we were together. He purposely got me pregnant. And then when I wouldn't move out and live in a travel trailer, like when I worked out of town and lose my housing and all that crap, he got mad and but I would still get just crazy erratic messages, or he'd show up out of the blue.
But why did you tell him that the DNA test was not
He had a
him?
DNA test in his truck when he came down after Ashton was first born. Walked in the house, said he had a DNA test in the truck, but he knew he didn't need it because it was his kid. And before this was even set up to let him see him, I let his mom and him come see Ashton at my house without any orders. And I said that they could come see him.
Okay, but since then, you were not following the judge's order.
Well-
You have not been allowing Mr. Fenton to see his son whenever it's possible. I understand when the child is sick, but when he's not sick, he shows up after 2.5 hours
You're
of
not
driving.
Ms. Hendrickson, I've told you, we're not dealing with the contempt issue, and I don't think it's
Understand,
appropriate to
Judge.
go into those issues.
That solved my
This is
question.
only about the.
And I only know of the supervised Saturdays. And it says that in the YouTube video, we were supposed to come to court back to here after 90 days. Now, what you
I
ever
just
drew
ruled
up,
that we're not going into that, so you
Sorry.
don't have to say anything else about that. So,
That's all my questions, Judge.
anything else you want to say?
me,
All right, thank you. Step down. Do you have any witnesses you wish to call? All I can say is that, number one, the court's main emphasis in all of these cases is the best interest of the minor child. Mr. Fenton says he was not aware that he was the father. In fact, he was denied that he was the father, and therefore he didn't take any steps over the last 3 years until he got notified that he was going to be the father, or that he was potentially the father, and then the testing proved that he was. She says, of course, Ms. Hewitt says that he knew all along he was the father. I'm not sure exactly how she said he intended to get her pregnant and so forth, but they had a voluntary sexual relationship that resulted in a child. That is the immutable fact. And as a result of that, we've got a child who's in the middle of this scenario. Ms. Hewitt obviously has nothing good to say about the man she had sex with and had a child with, but she essentially doesn't want him to have unsupervised visitation. I don't have any proof before me that he poses a threat to this child, but by the same token, the proof before me is that he has a number of health issues, including being nonverbal autistic. Even Mr. Fenton testified the young man is very limited in what he has to say. It's a giant leap from going from supervised visitation of a child that you first get acquainted with at 2.5 or 3 years old, to having the child spend the night with you on Christmas Eve and until Christmas Day at noon. That's a world away from what I think this child would be used to. But by the same token, he needs to have visitation with a child that his family can be a participant in, because this extended family is this child's family. So the balancing of those is the difficult part of this. I think that under these circumstances, I'm not going to grant him the visitation from Christmas Eve overnight to Christmas Day, but I will grant him visitation from 8 o'clock Christmas morning until 6 o'clock p.m. Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve morning at 8 a.m. to Christmas Eve at 6 p.m. He'll have the right to take the child to Kentucky if that's what he wishes to do, to visit with his family. He will give her a telephone number where she can talk to the child while he's there and make sure that she's reassured that there's not any problems. The only reason I'm not granting the overnight visitation is my concern about these health issues, a congenital heart defect, other issues that Ms. Hewitt says under oath this child has. You're going to have a right to look at those medical records and determine whether or not she's being truthful with the court. Same thing, you be quiet when I'm talking. Same thing goes for your testimony about what you say this past event has. She has a right to bring in evidence regarding that, and I'll determine at a later time, or one of the other judges would, whether or not you've been truthful in the history that you've given me. This child deserves to have both parents, but I'm of the opinion that right now you need to take small steps to get to that point. So I'm giving you unsupervised visitation on Christmas Eve of this year to allow you to try to have that time with your family in that, and we'll see how that goes. But I am of the opinion that is the best scenario I can create for the child to have that contact. And that will be the order of the court. So Ms. Hendrickson will draw this order, and the visitation will begin at 8 a.m. Christmas Eve morning.
Judge, if I may, maybe request that mother just, the exchange should happen at the Dixon Police Department instead of the father going to the house, because in the past, the mother would just simply lock the doors.
That
And
happens,
so-
she's going to go to jail. So, he may miss his Christmas visitation. He may end up with custody of the child, because she's going to, if she denies this court order, she is looking at 10 days in jail minimum, because that's what's going to happen, Ms. Hewitt. I'm ordering this. You have to comply. You don't have a choice. And as a result, it's 8 a.m. Christmas Eve morning until 6 p.m. Christmas Eve night. He will pick the child up at her house. I'm not going to traumatize this child further by having the child have to go to the police station and be exchanged with his parent. All that's going to do is convey to the child that there's something dangerous going on here, or else there wouldn't have to be exchanged at the police department. You'll pick child up, you'll have the child ready to go with whatever needs to go with him to be able to spend the day. The child goes to daycare, so he's away from you for times. This is nothing different than that, except it'll be in his home. You don't bring it back. you violate this court order by some fashion, then you're going to go to jail. I don't want to put either one of you in jail. I want you to behave and do what you're supposed. It's Christmas, for goodness sakes. You're supposed to have a contact with your family. This child, I'm doing this for the child's benefit, not for Mr. Fenton's benefit. I'm doing it so this child can have time with his extended family and begin to learn that these are his family, these people are his family, and that he has these other relationships. He has medical issues. We'll have to deal with those things down the road. But this is my order for today.
Judge, and one more thing, Ms. Hewitt did start saying that she brought some documents. I did have a subpoena ducis tecum issued
I'm not
for
dealing
her.
with that, Ms. Hendrickson. I said all along that this is only about the Christmas
For the Christmas
visitation.
visitation.
You have other motions, you have other court dates, you can reset your motion. In January, we have a number of different chancery days. You can get with the clerk, you can reset your motions for a day in January, and we'll deal from there. So, but I'm telling you both right now, you better start thinking about the best interest of this child and not the possessory interest. I'm very concerned, Ms. Hewitt, about you referring to my child, my child, my child. It is your child, it is his child. So you need to start phrasing it differently, because all that means to someone like me or to Mr. Fenton is that you think he belongs to you and he has no right. And I'm telling you, he has rights that are given to him under the law of the state of Tennessee, and I'm going to enforce those rights, but I'm also going to do it in a way that this child will benefit the most that I can create. All right, Ms. Hendrickson will draw the order. We have 15 minutes before we have to break for lunch.
Thank you, Judge.
Anybody have anything that they want to take up in the next 15 minutes?
All right, let's conclude this video. Here's my take on everything, man. Unfortunately, this is nothing new. A lot of, a lot of BMs, they do this in the courtroom and outside the courtroom. This is nothing new. My main goal is to really put a spotlight on this. This is nothing personal. This is nothing having to do with me or nothing like that. This is just to put a spotlight to let the world know what a lot of fathers go through behind the scenes, because these things are not shown to the public. To the public, you only hear that men are deadbeats, fathers are deadbeats, and these single moms just happen to be single because the dad don't want to be involved, which is a lot of BS. A lot of fathers want to be involved, but these moms are not allowing these dads to be involved because they so bitter and hurt, and they want control. Now here's something that his lawyer did not so good. Once the judge already established that we're only here for this motion, which is the whole thing regarding Christmas, she had to stick to that. You know what I'm saying? And the judge was getting annoyed because she's trying to bend and get other things out of this entire hearing, which I don't blame her for doing so. But sometimes some judge will let it slide, and some judge, won't let it slide. Just stick to the main thing. Let's make it easier. I like that the judge did check the lady, the mom, and let her know, hey, it's not your child, I like that he did that part. I didn't like that he didn't allow the child to have that. He didn't allow the father to have that overnight, visitation. At the end of the day, man, that child needs to get used to his dad, especially overnight. And because right now he's going based on what she's saying regarding his health issues. But from what I've seen, there was no medical documents provided to confirm that the child has so much severe health issues to the point where he can't spend overnight with the dad. That's why he said, the father had the right to debunk that statement by coming to the courtroom and providing medical records. That's why his lawyer requested from the mom, okay, who is the, the doctor, pediatrician that the child goes to, so he can get access to that medical record to prove if she's lying or not. So at the end of the day, that child needs the father needs the child. But I did glad at least he granted the father, unsupervised visitation of him having a child for Christmas. I guess even if it's like only like half a day or just half, not overnight. He should have got overnight, but for the father, man, like I said, it's a win for this one. It's a good W. If I was him, I'll keep on pounding hard, and I will go for like 50-50 custody eventually, But like I said, it was very wicked and very sick that the mom was first told the father he's not the dad. I guess when the other guy she was messing around with, once he left, she's like, okay, I guess he found out that, hold on, this ain't my kid. You know what I'm saying? I bet he did a DNA test. The dude, her boyfriend, whatever at the time, the one I was smashing her to, he did like a DNA test and be like, hold on, this ain't my kid. What the hell? Hell no, I'm out of here. And he took off. This woman, she knew from day one that the dude that's in the courtroom right now that she's going against, she knew this was the dad from the jump. She was trying to make her boyfriend raise his son, this guy's son. And I think her boyfriend find out that, hold on, this ain't my jit. He left. So since he left, she couldn't put him on child support, the other guy. So she went after him to put him on child support. That's when he's like, hold up, child support, what the hell? Then he did like he like, bro, you said that wasn't my kid. How am I gonna pay child support when you said that was not my kid? So, and this was like after like 2 years passed by. 2 to 3 years. So for 2 to 3 years, you knew that jit was for that man. You knew, but you're trying to make another man raise a kid that wasn't his. Meanwhile, you didn't tell the father. You told the father, the real father, that's not your jit, that's not your kid. 2 3 years passed by, and they try to put the man on child support. He's like, what the hell? Let me say this is my kid for real then. Like, then they said, hold on, this is my jit. Now he's saying, yo, that's my jit. I want to be involved. But now he's saying, no, you don't want to be involved. Like, bruh, these folks' head, something wrong with it, man. They're not right in the head. It's just something just very, like, seriously wrong with them. But anyway, that's my overall take, man. But look, don't forget, man, subscribe to this channel. More videos coming out just like this or similar. You know what I mean? And for any dads watching this right now, I might be going through this. Listen to me. If you can't afford an attorney, reach out to me. Because like I said, I can help you get your child. I can try my best, you know what I'm trying to say, because nothing's guaranteed based on like the situation. But I've studied enough and seen enough where it's like I can provide you guidance and coaching on how to get your child, or at least be a part of your child's life. Like I said, I run a nonprofit company for fathers called Menbuse. So visit www.menbuse.org, where you could find out more information, more details. You could read reviews I got, fathers that I helped out in the past. Just book me for one-on-one coaching, and then I got you through it. It could be, even if you have an attorney, still hit me up. And follow our platforms, social media platforms. Follow us at Menbuse ORG. That's Menbuse ORG. More videos will be coming soon. And comment below. Let me know, man, what's your thoughts on this? Did you like the order? Did you like the judge outcome? Did you like what his lawyer was saying? Did you dislike what the mom was saying, or like what she was saying? Like, what was your overall outcome? Did you have any experience like this? Like, share it, man. Like, share below. Any fathers watching this right now, man, put down below what you've been through. Let's put a spotlight on what's going on behind the scene with a lot of these fathers. The overall goal is to create a world where kids have their fathers in their lives. And in order to do that, we got to first put a spotlight on bitter BMs like this one in this video that's trying to make a kid be fatherless. All right. Once again, I'm out. This is boy B, the CEO. See y'all next time.